Top of the day, beautiful people. Okay. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Okay. It's 7:15. All right, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday. It is March the 10th, March the 10th, 2021, day 98 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 767. Today we're reading Judges. We're starting Judges chapter 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to hop on over to the Legends of the Jews. Uncle James Brown. Hello, Tiffany. Hello, Tylane. Hey, girl. Hey, Rosina. Good morning. Shayla. Great rising. All right, beautiful people. YouTube. Top of the day. Greetings, Uncle Nathaniel. All right, beautiful people. Let's get going because I got to get going this morning. All right. Here. Therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, have promised us in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuwah, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God, as He has promised us. Okay, all right, y'all. Trina, hey girl, hey. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and start in Judges. Judges chapter 1. After the death of Joshua, the Israelites asked Yahuwah, which tribe should go first to attack the Canaanites? Yahuwah answered, Judah, for I have given them victory over the land. The men of Judah said to their relatives from the tribe of Simeon, join us to fight against the Canaanites living in the territory allotted to us. Then we will help you conquer your territory. So the men of Simeon went with Judah. When the men of Judah attacked, Yahuwah gave them victory over the Canaanites and Perizzites, and they killed 10,000 enemy warriors at the town of Bezek. While at Bezek, they encountered King Adonai-Bezek and fought against him, and the Canaanites and the Perizzites were defeated. Adonai-Bezek escaped, but the Israelites soon captured him and cut off his thumbs and big toes. Adonai-Bezek said, I once had 70 kings with their thumbs and big toes cut off, eating scraps from under my table. Now Yahuwah has paid me back for what I did to them. They took him to Jerusalem and he died there. Ooh, imagine that, y'all. Imagine having your thumbs and big toes cut off. It'll throw you all off balance. Oh, wow. The men of Judah attacked Jerusalem and captured it, killing all its people and setting the city on fire. Then they went down to fight the Canaanites living in the hill country, the Negev and the western foothills. Judah marched against the Canaanites in Hebron, formerly called Kiriath Arba, defeating the forces of Shishai, Ammon, and Talmai. From there, they went to fight against the people living in the town of Debir, formerly called Kiriath Sefer. Caleb said, I will give my daughter Aksah in marriage to the one who attacks and captures Kiriath Sefer. Othniel, the son of Caleb's younger brother, Kenaz, was the one who conquered it. So Aksah became Othniel's wife. When Aksah married Othniel, she urged him to ask her father for a field. As she got down off her donkey, Caleb asked her, what's the matter? She said, let me have another gift. You have already given me land in the Negev. Now please give me springs of water too. So Caleb gave her the upper and lower springs. When the tribe of Judah left Jericho, the city of palms, the Kenites, who were descendants of Moses' father-in-law, traveled with them into the wilderness of Judah. They settled among the people there near the town of Arad in the Negev. Then Judah joined with Simeon to fight against the Canaanites living in Zephath, and they completely destroyed the town. So the town was named Hormah. In addition, Judah captured the towns of Gaza, Ashkelon, Ekron, along with their surrounding territories. Yahuwah was with the people of Judah, and they took possession of the hill country, but they failed to drive out the people living in the plains who had iron chariots. The town of Hebron was given to Caleb as Moses had promised, and Caleb drove out the people living there who were descendants of the three sons of Anak. The tribe of Benjamin, however, failed to drive out the Jebusites who were living in Jerusalem. So to this day, the Jebusites live in Jerusalem among the people of Benjamin. The descendants of Joseph attacked the town of Bethel, and Yahuwah was with them. They sent men to scout out Bethel, formerly known as Luz. They confronted a man coming out of the town and said to him, "Show us a way into the town and we will have mercy on you." So he showed them a way in, and they killed everyone in the town except for that man and his family. Later, the man moved to the land of the Hittites, where he built a town. He named it Luz, which is its name to this day. The tribe of Manasseh failed to drive out the people living in Beth Shan, Tanakh, Dor, Ibling, Megiddo, and all their surrounding settlements, because the Canaanites were determined to stay in that region. When the Israelites grew stronger, they forced the Canaanites to work as slaves, but they never did drive them completely out of the land. The tribe of Ephraim failed to drive out the Canaanites living in Gezer, so the Canaanites continued to live there among them. The tribe of Zebulun failed to drive out the residents of Kitron and Nahalol, so the Canaanites continued to live among them. But the Canaanites were forced to work as slaves. Excuse me, y'all. Sorry. Okay. Okay. But the Canaanites were forced to work as slaves for the people of Zebulun. The tribe of Asher failed to drive out the residents of Akko, Sidon, Alab, Akzib, Helba, Aphik, and Rehob. Instead, the people of Asher moved in among the Canaanites who controlled the land, for they failed to drive them out. Likewise, the tribe of Naphtali failed to drive out the residents of Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath. Instead, they moved in among the Canaanites who controlled the land. Nevertheless, the people of Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath were forced to work as slaves for the people of Naphtali. As for the tribe of Dan, the Amorites forced them back into the hill country and would not let them come down into the plains. The Amorites were determined to stay in Mount Heres, Ajalon, Shalbim, and when the descendants of Joseph became stronger, they forced the Amorites to work as slaves. The boundary of the Amorites ran from Scorpion Pass to Selah and continued upward from there. All right, y'all. Morning, Levon. Let's move on to Judges chapter 2. Okay. The angel of Yahuwah went up from Gilgal to Bochim and said to the Israelites, "I brought you out of Egypt into this land that I swore to give to your ancestors, and I said I would never break my covenant with you. For your part, you were not to make any covenants with the people living in this land. Instead, you were to destroy their altars, but you disobeyed my command. Why did you do this? So now I declare that I will no longer drive out the people living in your land. They will be thorns in your sides, and their gods will be a constant temptation to you." When the angel of Yahuwah finished speaking to all the Israelites, the people wept loudly. So they called the place Bochim, which means weeping, and they offered sacrifices there to Yahuwah. After Joshua sent the people away, each of the tribes left to take possession of the land. After Joshua sent the people away, each of the tribes left to take possession of the land allotted to them. And the Israelites served Yahuwah throughout the lifetime of Joshua and the leaders who outlived him, those who had seen all the great things Yahuwah had done for Israel. Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Yahuwah, died at age 110. They buried him in the land that he had been allocated at Timnath Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gash. Hold on. Okay, yeah, this is just repeat now. I was like, I read that yesterday. Okay. After that generation died, another generation grew up who did not acknowledge Yahuwah or remember the mighty things he had done for Israel. The Israelites did evil in Yahuwah's sight and served the images of Baal. They abandoned Yahuwah, the God of their ancestors, who had brought them out of Egypt. They went after other gods, worshiping the gods of the people around them, and they angered Yahuwah. They abandoned Yahuwah to serve Baal and the images of Ashtaroth. This made Yahuwah burn with anger against Israel, so he handed them over to the raiders who stole their possessions. He turned them over to their enemies all around, and they were no longer able to resist them. Every time Israel went out to battle, Yahuwah fought against them, causing them to be defeated, just as he had warned, and the people were in great distress. Then Yahuwah raised up judges to rescue the Israelites from their attackers. Yet Israel did not listen to the judges, but prostituted themselves by worshiping other gods. How quickly they turned away from the path of their ancestors who had walked in obedience to Yahuwah's commands. Whenever Yahuwah raised up a judge over Israel, he was with that judge and rescued the people from their enemies throughout the judge's lifetime. For Yahuwah took pity on his people who were burdened by oppression and suffering. But when the judge died, the people returned to their corrupt ways, behaving worse than those who had lived before them. They went after other gods, serving and worshiping them, and they refused to give up their evil practices and stubborn ways. So Yahuwah burned with anger against Israel. He said, because these people have violated my covenant, which I made with their ancestors, and have ignored my commands, I will no longer drive out the nations that Joshua left unconquered when he died. I did this to test Israel, to see whether or not they will follow the ways of Yahuwah as their ancestors did. This is why Yahuwah left those nations in place. He did not quickly drive them out or allow Joshua to conquer them all. Yep. Right. Instead of getting rid of them completely, they use them as slaves. Yeah. See, when you deviate just a little bit from the plan, everybody get in trouble. Everybody get in trouble. He said they should have been completely pushed out. Judges chapter 3. These are the nations that Yahuwah left in the land to test those Israelites who had not experienced the wars of Canaan. He did this to teach warfare to generations of Israelites who had no experience in battle. These are the nations: the Philistines, those living under the 5 Philistine rulers, all the Canaanites, the Sidonians, and the Hivites living in the mountains of Lebanon from Mount Baal Hermon to Labo Hamath. These people were left to test the Israelites to see whether they would obey the commands Yahuwah had given to their ancestors through Moses. So the people of Israel lived among the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, and they intermarried with them. Israelite sons married their daughters, and Israelite daughters were given in marriage to their sons, and the Israelites served their gods. The Israelites did evil in Yahuwah's sight. They forgot about Yahuwah their God, and they served the images of Baal and the Asherah poles. Then Yahuwah burned with anger against Israel, and he turned them over to King Kushar Rishathaim. Okay. Then he turned him over to King Kushar Rishathaim of Era Naharim. And the Israelites served Kushar Rishathaim for 8 years. But when the people of Israel cried out to Yahuwah for help, Yahuwah raised up a rescuer to save them. Now watch this as we go through this. Be mindful of the different deliverers or messiahs or judges were the proper name at this time, the judges who rose up to rescue them. Okay. He's so loud. Okay, hold on. But when the people of Israel cried out to Yahuwah for help, Yahuwah raised up a rescuer to save them. His name was Othniel, the son of Caleb's younger brother, Kenaz. The spirit of Yahuwah came upon him, and he became Israel's judge. He went to war against King Kushar Rishathaim of Aram, and Yahuwah gave Othniel victory over him. So there was peace in the land for 40 years. Then Othniel, son of Kenaz, died. Once again, the Israelites did evil in Yahuwah's sight, and Yahuwah gave King Eglon of Moab control over Israel because of their evil. Eglon enlisted the Ammonites and the Amalekites as allies, and then he went out and defeated Israel, taking possession of Jericho, the city of palms. And the Israelites served Eglon of Moab for 18 years. But when the people of Israel cried out to Yahuwah for help, Yahuwah again raised up a rescuer to save them. His name was Ehud, son of Gera, a left-handed man of the tribe of Benjamin. The Israelites sent Ehud to deliver their tribute money to King Eglon of Moab. So Ehud made a double-edged dagger that was about a foot long, and he strapped it to his right thigh, keeping it hidden under his clothing. He brought the tribute money to Eglon, who was very fat. After delivering the payment, Ehud started home with those who had helped carry the tribute. But when Ehud reached the stone idols near Gilgal, he turned back. He came to Eglon and said, "I have a secret message for you." So the king commanded his servants, "Be quiet," and he sent them all out of the room. Ehud walked over to Eglon, who was sitting alone in a cool upstairs room. And Ehud said, "I have a message from Yahuwah for you." As King Eglon arose from his seat, Ehud reached with his left hand, pulled out the dagger strapped to his right thigh, and plunged it into the king's belly. The dagger went so deep that the handle disappeared beneath the king's fat. So Ehud did not pull out the dagger, and the king's bowels emptied. Then Ehud closed and locked the doors of the room and escaped down the latrine. After Ehud was gone, the king's servants returned and found the doors to the upstairs room locked. They thought he might be using a latrine in the room, so they waited. But when the king didn't come out after a long delay, they became concerned and got a key. And when they opened the doors, they found their master dead on the floor. While the servants were waiting, Ehud escaped, passing the stone idols on his way to Sirah. When he arrived in the hill country of Ephraim, Ehud sounded a call to arms. Then he led a band of Israelites down from the hills. "Follow me," he said, "for Yahuwah has given you victory over Moab, your enemy." So they followed him, and the Israelites took control of the shallow crossings of the Jordan River across from Moab, preventing anyone from crossing. So they attacked the Moabites and killed about 10,000 of their strongest and most able-bodied warriors. Not one of them escaped. So Moab was conquered by Israel that day, and there was peace in the land for 80 years. After Ehud, Shamgar, son of Anath, rescued Israel. He once killed 600 Philistines with an ox goad. Hi, my beautiful people. And that is our reading for today. That was Judges 1, 2, and 3. And let's go on and hop on over here to the LOJ, the Legends of Jews. We're going to pick this back up where we left off yesterday on page 390. Belinda Brown. Good morning. Good morning, Auntie. All right, y'all. So page 390. We are in volume 4. Chapter 1, right? Yeah, volume 4, chapter 1. The Conquest of the Land. Tiffany, right? Nikki, good day. Hey, girl. Hey, I ain't seen you in a few days. Okay. Yes, y'all is constantly coming to our rescue, and we just don't get it, right? Look, it's for the next couple weeks, so we're going to see constant deliverers and rescuers coming to the aid of Israel. They're going to start their shenanigans, we're going to turn them over. And then he's going to send a judge or a prophet or what's next? Yeah, judges, a prophet, or I want to say something else. But anyway, the deliverers, they just going to keep coming. They're going to keep doing the shenanigans. And somebody in their generation from that time of those who have been enslaved for whatever reason, he's going to raise them up and let's go to war. Let's go. We out again. We free. Let's go back. Let's keep the commands. But you know what? After that time of peace, and that current judge or deliverer dies out, the people forget. They tend to forget what Yahuwah has done, right? And so they just keep repeating the cycles. Okay. Conquest of the land is the subtitle for today. Joshua's first victory was the wonderful capture of Jericho. The whole of the city was declared anathema because it had been conquered on the Sabbath day. Joshua reasoned that as the Sabbath day is holy, so also that which is conquered on the Sabbath day should be holy. The brilliant victory was followed by the luckless defeat of Ai. In this engagement perished Jair, the son of Manasseh, whose loss was as great as if the majority of the Sanhedrin had been destroyed. Presently, Joshua discovered that the cause of the defeat was the sinfulness of Israel, brought upon it by Achan, who had laid hands on some of the spoils of Jericho. Achan was a hardened transgressor and a criminal of old. So, and remember, we already read about Achan in the Bible, right? Okay. Achan was a hardened transgressor and criminal of old. I'm gonna have to use that like that. Okay. During the life of Moses, he had several times appropriated to his own use things that had been declared anathema, and he had committed other crimes worthy of the death penalty. Before the Israelites crossed the Jordan, Yahuwah had not visited Achan's sins upon the people as a whole, because at that time it did not form a national unit yet. But when Achan abstracted an idol and all its appurtenances from Jericho, the misfortune of Ai followed at once. Joshua inquired of Yahuwah why trouble had befallen Israel, but Yahuwah refused to reply. He was no talebearer. The evildoer who had caused the disaster would have to be singled out by lot. Joshua first of all summoned the high priest from the assembly of the people. It appeared that while the other jewels in his breastplate gleamed bright, the stone representing the tribe of Judah was dim. By lot, Achan was set apart from the members of his tribe. Achan, however, refused to submit to the decision by lot. He said to Joshua, among all living men, thou and Phinehas are the most pious. Yes, if lots were cast concerning you two, one or other of you would be declared guilty. Thy teacher Moses has been dead scarcely 1 month. Thou hast already begun to go astray. For thou hast forgotten that a man's guilt can be proved only through 2 witnesses. Endued with the Holy Spirit, Joshua divined that the land was to be assigned to the tribes and families of Israel by lot, and he realized that nothing ought to be done to bring this method of deciding into disrepute. He therefore tried to persuade Achan to make a clean breast of his transgression. Meantime, the Judeans, the tribesmen of Achan, rallied about him, and throwing themselves upon the other tribes, they wrought fearful havoc and bloodshed. So now we get the full story. We just thinking, man, he just pulled them out just like that. Achan submitted to the stoning, him and his whole family. But clearly there's more to the story. He's like, oh, so I was singled out from everybody. What if the lots happened, but the lots didn't fall to us? It fell to you, my G. Listen. And so they was fighting against him and everything. Listen. He therefore tried to persuade Achan to make a clean breast of his transgression. Meantime, the Judeans, the tribesmen of Achan, rallied about him, and throwing themselves upon the other tribes, they wrought fearful havoc and bloodshed. This determined Achan to confess his sins. The confession cost him his life, but it saved him from losing his share in the world to come. In spite of the reverses at Ai, the terror inspired by the Israelites grew among the Canaanitish people. The Gibeonites planned to circumvent the invaders and form an alliance with them. Now, before Joshua set out on his campaign, he had issued 3 proclamations: that the nation that would leave Canaan might depart unhindered. The nation that would conclude peace with the Israelites should do it at once, and the nation that would choose war should make its preparations. If the Gibeonites had sued for the friendship of the Hebrews when the proclamation came to their ears, there would have been no need for subterfuges later. But the Canaanites had to see with their own eye what manner of enemy awaited them, and all the nations prepared for war. The result was that the 31 kings of Palestine perished, as well as the satraps of many foreign kings who were proud to own possessions in the Holy Land. Only the Girgashite departed out of Palestine, and as a reward for their docility, Yahuwah gave them Africa as an inheritance. The Gibeonites deserved no better fate than all the rest, for the covenant made with them rested upon a misapprehension. Yet Joshua kept his promise to them in order to sanctify the name of Yahuwah by showing the world how sacred an oath is to the Israelites. In the course of events, it became obvious that the Gibeonites were by no means worthy of being received into the Hebrew community, and David, following Joshua's example, excluded them forever, a sentence that will remain in force even in the Messianic time. The next section, the son obeys Joshua. The task of protecting the Gibeonites involved in the offensive and defensive alliance made with them, Joshua fulfilled scrupulously. He had hesitated for a moment whether to aid the Gibeonites in their distress, but the words of Yahuwah sufficed to recall him to his duty. Yahuwah said to him, "If thou dost not bring near them that are far off, thou wilt remove them that are nearby." Yahuwah granted Joshua peculiar favor in his conflict with the assailants of the Gibeonites. The hot hailstones, which at Moses' intercessions had remained suspended in the air when they were about to fall on the Egyptians, were now cast down upon the Canaanites. That then happened the great wonder of the sun standing still, the sixth of the great wonders since the creation of the world. The battle took place on a Friday. Excuse me. Joshua knew it would pain the people deeply to be compelled to desecrate the holy Sabbath day. Besides, he noticed that the heathen were using sorcery to make the heavenly host intercede for them in the fight against the Israelites. He therefore pronounced the name of Yahuwah, and the sun, moon, and stars stood still. The sun at first refused to obey Joshua's behest, seeing that he was older than man by 2 days. Joshua replied that there was still no reason why a freeborn youth should refrain from enjoining silence upon an old slave whom he owns. And had not Yahuwah given heaven and earth to our father Abraham? Nay, more than this, had not the son himself bowed down like a slave before Joseph? But, said the son, who will praise Yahuwah if I am silent? Whereupon Joshua, be thou silent, and I will intone a song of praise. And he sung thus: Thou hast done mighty things, O Yah. Thou hast performed great deeds. Who is like unto thee? My lips shall sing unto thy name. My goodness and my fortress, my refuge. I will sing a new song unto thee. With thanksgiving I will sing unto thee. Thou art the strength of my salvation. All the kings of the earth shall praise thee. The princes of the world shall sing unto thee. The children of Israel shall rejoice in thy salvation. They shall sing and praise thy power. In thee, O Yah, did we trust. We said, Thou art our God, for thou wast our shelter and our strong tower against our enemies. To thee we cried, and we were not ashamed. In thee we trusted, and we were delivered when we cried unto thee. Thou did hear our voice. Thou did deliver our souls from the sword. Thou hast shown unto us thy mercy. Thou did give unto us thy salvation. Thou did rejoice our hearts with thy strength. Thou wentest forth for our salvation. With the strength of thy arm, thou did redeem thy people. Thou did console us from the heavens of thy holiness. Thou did save us from tens of thousands. Sun and moon stood still in heaven, and thou didst stand in awe in thy wrath against our oppressors, and thou didst execute thy judgments upon them. All the princes of the earth stood up, the kings of the nations have gathered themselves together. They were not moved at thy presence, they desired thy battles. Thou didst rise up against them in thine anger, and thou didst bring them down, and thou didst bring thy wrath down upon them. Thou didst destroy them in thy fury, and thou didst ruin them in thy rage. Nations raged from fear of thee. Kingdoms tottered because of thy wrath. Thou didst wound kings in the day of thine anger. Thou didst pour out thy fury upon them. Thy wrathful anger took hold of them. Thou didst turn their iniquity upon them, and thou didst cut them off in their wickedness. They spread a trap, they fell therein. In the net they hid their foot. In the net they hid their foot was caught. Thine hand found all thy enemies, who said, through their sword they possessed the land, through their arm they dwelt in the city. Thou didst fill their faces with shame, thou didst bring their horns down to the ground, thou didst terrify them in thy wrath, and thou didst destroy them from before thee. Earth quaked and trembled from the noise of thy thunder against them. Thou didst not withhold their from earth, and thou didst bring down their lives to the grave. Thou didst pursue them in thy storm. Thou didst consume them in the whirlwind. Thou didst turn their rain into hail. They fell in floods so that they could not rise. Their carcasses were like rubbish cast out into the middle of the streets. They were consumed and they perished before thee. Thou hast delivered thy people in thy might. Therefore our hearts rejoice in thee. Our souls exult in thy salvation. Our tongues shall relate thy might. We will sing and praise thy wondrous works. For thou didst save us from our enemies. Thou didst deliver us from those who rose up against us. Thou didst destroy them from before us and depress them beneath our feet. Thus shall all thy enemies perish, O Yah, and the wickedness shall be like chaff driven by the wind, and thy beloved shall be like trees planted by the waters. And that was the entire song that Joshua was saying instead of the sun. So while the sun stood still, Joshua intoned the song of praise. And while it stood still, they began to fight. Joshua's victorious course did not end with the conquest of the land. His war with the Armenians after Palestine was subdued marked the climax of his heroic deeds. Among the 31 kings whom Joshua had slain, there was one whose son, Shobach by name, was king of Armenia. With the purpose of waging war with Joshua, he united the 45 kings of Persia and Media, and they were joined by the renowned hero Japheth. The allied kings, in a letter, informed Joshua of their design against him as follows. The noble, distinguished council of the kings of Persia and Media to Joshua, peace, thou wolf of the desert. We well know what thou did to our kinsmen. Thou did destroy our palaces. Without pity, thou did down with a sword, and their cities thou did turn into desert. Know then that in the space of 30 days we shall come to thee, we, the 45 kings, each having 60,000 warriors under him, all them armed with bows and arrows, girt about with swords, all us skilled in the ways of war, and with us the hero Japheth. Prepare now for the combat, and say not afterward that we took thee unawares. Oh, y'all right, but we send you a letter. We coming to take you in about 30 days. We coming, everybody. The messenger bearing the letter arrived on the day before the Feast of Weeks. Although Joshua was greatly wrought up by the contents of the letter, he kept his counsel until after the feast, in order not to disturb the rejoicing of the people. Then, at the conclusion of the feast, he told the people of the message that had reached him, so terrifying that even he, the veteran warrior, trembled at the herald approach of the enemy. Nevertheless, Joshua determined to accept the challenge. From the first words, his reply was framed to show the heathen how little their fear possessed him, whose trust was set in Yah. The introduction to his epistle reads as follows. In the name of Yahuwah, the God of Israel, who saps the strength of the iniquitous warrior.
I got ice cream in this.
Okay. Just try not to rattle that bag too loud, okay?
Okay.
All right. The introduction to his epistle reads as follows. In the name of Yahuwah, the God of Israel, who saps the strength of the iniquitous warrior and slays the rebellious sinner. He breaks up the assemblies of the marauding transgressors, and he gathers together in council the pious and the just scattered abroad. He, the God of all gods, the Lord of all lords, the God of Abraham,
Mom.
Isaac, and Jacob. Wait a minute, Tootie. Yahuwah is the Lord of war. From me, Joshua, the servant of Yahuwah, and from the holy and chosen congregation of the impious nation, who pay worship to images and prostrate themselves before idols. No peace unto you, saith my God. Whoo!
Mom.
Okay. They thought their letter shook up Israel. Israel about to shake them down to the Shanana. No peace unto you, saith my God. Know that ye acted foolishly to awaken the slumbering lion, to rouse up the lion's whelp, to excite his wrath. I am ready to repay you for your recompense. Be prepared to meet with me, for within a week I shall be with you to slay your warriors to a man. What? For within a week I shall be with you to slay your warriors to a man. Joshua goes on to recite all the wonders Yahuwah had done for Israel, who need fear no power on earth, and he ends his missive with the words. What? His missive. Okay. And he ends his letter with the words, if the hero Japheth is with you, we have in the midst of us the hero of heroes, the highest above all the high. The heathen were not a little alarmed at the tone of Joshua's letter. Their terror grew when the messenger told of the exemplary discipline maintained in the Israelitish army, of the gigantic stature of Joshua, who stood 5 ells high, of his royal apparel, his crown graven with the name of Yahuwah. At the end of 7 days, Joshua appeared with 12,000 troops. When the mother of King Shobak, who was a powerful witch, espied the host, she exercised her magic art and enclosed the Israelitish army in 7 walls. Joshua therefore sent forth a carrier pigeon to the what? Joshua? I'm sorry. This woman just set up wards around the whole camp, and you sending out a carrier pigeon. It's not funny, but it's funny in a way. Okay, hold on. Look. Okay. Let me just read this and quit joking. When the mother of King Shobak, who was a powerful witch, espied the host, she exercised her magic art and enclosed the Israelitish army in 7 walls. Joshua thereupon sent forth a carrier pigeon to communicate his plight to Nebiah, the king of the Transjordanic tribes. Yes, baby girl.
I cannot find chips everywhere.
Okay, hold that thought for a minute. He urged him to hasten to his help and bring the priest Phinehas and the sacred trumpets with him. Nebiah did not tarry. Before the relief detachment arrived, his mother reported to Shobak that she had beheld a star arise out of the east, against which her machinations were vain. Shobak threw his mother from the wall, and he himself was soon afterward killed by Nebiah. Meantime, Phinehas arrived, and at the sound of his trumpets, the wall toppled down. A pitched battle ensued, and the heathen were annihilated. At the end of 7 years of warfare, Joshua could at last venture to parcel out the conquered land among the tribes. This was the way he did it. The high priest Eleazar, attended by Joshua and all the people, and arrayed in the Urim and the Thummim, stood before 2 urns. One of the urns contained the names of the tribes, the other the names of the districts into which the land was divided. The Holy Spirit caused him to exclaim, Zebulun. When he put his hand into the first urn, lo, he drew forth the word Zebulun, and from the other came the word Acco, meaning the district of Acco. Thus it appeared with each tribe in succession. In order that the boundaries might remain fixed, Joshua had the Hazubah planted between the districts. The rootstock of this plant, once established in a spot, it can be extirpated only with the greatest difficulty. The plow may draw deep furrows over it, yet it puts forth new shoots and grows up again amid the grain, still marking the old division lines. In connection with the allotment of the land, Joshua issued 10 ordinances intended in a measure to restrict the rights in private property. Pasturing in the woods was to be free to the public at large. Anyone was permitted to gather up bits of wood in the field, the same permission to gather up all grasses, whether they might grow, unless they were in a field that had been sown with fenugreek, which needs grass for protection. For grafting purposes, twigs would be cut from any plant except the olive trees. Water springs belonged to the whole town. It was lawful for anyone to catch fish in the Sea of Tiberias, provided navigation was not impeded. The area adjacent to the outer side of the fence about a field might be used by any passerby to ease nature. From the close of the harvest until the 17th day of Mar Hishwan, fields could be crossed. A traveler who lost his way among the vineyards could not be held responsible for the damage done in the effort to recover the right path. A dead body found in a field was to be buried on the spot where it was found. The allotment of the land to the tribes and subdividing each district among the tribesmen took as much time as the conquest of the land. When the 2 tribes and a half from the land beyond Jordan returned home after an absence of 14 years, they were not a little astonished to hear that the boys who had been too young to go to war with them had been in the meantime shown themselves worthy of the fathers. They had been successful in repulsing the Ishmaelitish tribes who had taken advantage of the absence of the men capable of bearing arms to assault their wives and children. Imagine being gone to war for 14 years, having no R&R, right? Not getting to go home, like nothing. 14 years. How do we even know y'all still alive, right? After a leadership of 28 years, marked with success in war and in peace, Joshua departed this life. His followers laid the knives he had used in circumcising the Israelites into his grave, and over it they erected a pillar as a memorial of the great wonder of the sun standing still over Ajalon. However, the mourning for Joshua was not so great as might justly have been expected. The cultivation of the recently conquered land so occupied the attention of the tribes that they came nigh forgetting the man whom chiefly they owed their possession of it. As a punishment for their ingratitude, Yahuwah soon after Joshua's death brought also the life of the high priest Eleazar and the other elders to a close. And the mount on which Joshua's body was interred began to tremble and threatened to engulf the Hebrews. Where we at? Ooh, we talked about Othniel. Okay, let's go ahead and read this section right here. Because actually this crazy how that lined up, right? We started in Judges, and then we in chapter 2 to Judges. It's cool the way it lined up how we. Okay, let's read it. Okay. After the death of Joshua, the Israelites inquired to Yahuwah whether they were to go up against the Canaanites in war. They were given the answer, if ye are pure of heart, go forth unto combat. But if your hearts are sullied with sin, then refrain. They inquired furthermore how to test the heart of the people. Yahuwah ordered them to cast lots to set apart those designated by lot, for they would be simple among them. Again, when the people besought Yahuwah to give it a guide and leader, an angel answered, cast lots in the tribe of Caleb. Tootie, move face.
I'm trying to get my face right.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Your phone.
Yeah, no, leave that. No, you don't have to do that. Thank you. Just sit
Well,
there and enjoy your
Why
stuff.
that truck come from?
It came from the shop where it was at. Okay? All right. Shh. All right. Again, when the people besought Yahuwah to give it a guide and a leader, an angel answered, cast lots in the tribe of Caleb. The lot designated Kenaz, and he was made prince over Israel. His first act was so determined by Lot, who were the sinners in Israel, and what their inward thought. He declared before the people, if I and my house be set apart by Lot, deal with us as we deserve, burn us with fire. The people assenting, Lot's cast, and 345 of the tribe of Judah were singled out, 560 of Reuben, 775 of Simeon, 150 of Levi, 665 of Issachar, 545 of Zebulun, 380 of Gad, 665 of Asher, 480 of Manasseh, 448 of Ephraim, and 267 of Benjamin. So 6,110 persons were confined in prison until Yahuwah should let it be known what was to be done with them. The united prayers of Kenaz, Eleazar the high priest, and elders of the congregation were answered thus: ask these men now to confess their iniquity, and they shall be burnt with fire. Kenaz thereupon exhorted them, ye know that Achan, the son of Zabdi, committed the trespasses of taking the anathema, but the lot fell upon him, and he confessed his sin. Do ye likewise confess your sins, that ye may come to life with those whom Yahuwah will revive on the day of the resurrection? Oh, yeah, so you still gonna die, but you gotta confess your sin if you want to keep what's yours in the time to come. If you don't, we're just gonna burn you. You just lose everything. It'll be given to somebody else. But if you confess your sin now, yeah, you still gonna die. We're still gonna burn you. But at least you get to keep your gifts in the afterlife, right? Whew, what a choice, right? One of the sinful, a man by the name of Eli, said in reply thereto, if thou desires to bring forth the truth, address thyself to each of the tribes separately. Kenaz began with his own. Sorry. I need to answer that one. Hold on. Let it knock everything off the screen. Okay. Kenaz began with his own, the tribe of Judah. The wicked of Judah confessed the sin of worshiping the golden calf, like unto their forefathers in the desert. The Reubenites had burnt sacrifices to idols. The Levites said, we desired to prove whether the tabernacle is holy. Those of the tribe of Issachar replied, we consulted idols to know what would become of us. The sinners of Zebulun, we desired to eat the flesh of our sons and daughters to know whether Yahuwah loves them. Like what? The Danites admitted they had taught their children out of the books of the Amorites, which they had hidden then under Mount Abiram, where Kenaz actually found them. The Naphtalites confessed to the same transgression, only they had concealed the books in the tent of Eli, and there they were found by Kenaz. The Gadites acknowledged having led an immoral life, and the sinners of Asher that they had found and had hidden under Mount Shechem the 7 golden idols called by the Amorites the holy nymphs, the same 7 idols which had been made in a miraculous way after the deluge by the 7 sinners, Canaan, Put, Shelah, Nimrod, Elath, Deul, and Shua. They were of precious stones from Havilah, which radiated light, making night as bright as day. Besides, they possessed a rare virtue. If a blind Amorite kissed one of the idols and at the same time touched its eyes, his sight was restored. After the sinners of Asher, Those of Manasseh made their confessions. They had desecrated the Sabbath. The Ephraimites, owing to have sacrificed their children to Molech. Finally, the Benjamites said, "We desired to prove whether the law emanated from Yahuwah or from Moses." At the command of Yahuwah, these sinners and all their possessions were burnt with fire at the brook of Pishon. Only the Amorite brooks and the idols of precious stones remained unscathed. Neither fire nor water could do them harm. Kenaz decided to consecrate the idols to Yahuwah, but a revelation came to him saying, "If Yahuwah were to accept what has been declared anathema, why should not man?" He was assured that Yahuwah would destroy the things over which human hands had no power. Kenaz, acting under divine instruction, bore them to the summit of the mountain, where an altar was erected. The books and the idols were placed upon it, and the people offered many sacrifices and celebrated the whole day as a festival. During the night following, Kenaz saw dew rise from the ice in paradise and descend upon the books. The letters of their writings were obliterated by it, and then an angel came and annihilated what was left. During the same night, an angel carried off the 7 gems and threw them to the bottom of the sea. Meanwhile, a second angel brought 12 other gems, engraving the names of the 12 sons of Jacob upon them, one name upon each. No 2 gems of these were alike. The first to bear the name Reuben was like Sardis, the second for Simon like Topaz, the third Levi like Emerald, the fourth Judah like Carbuncle, the fifth Issachar like Sapphire, the sixth Zebulun like Jasper, the seventh Dan like Legur, the eighth Naphtali like Amethyst, the ninth Gad like Agate, the 10th Asher like Chrysolite, the 11th Joseph like Beryl, and the 12th Benjamin like Onyx. Now Yahuwah commanded Kenaz to deposit 12 stones in the holy ark, and there they are to remain until such time as Solomon should build the temple and attach them to the cherubim. Furthermore, this divine communication was made to Kenaz, and it shall come to pass when the sin of the children of men shall have been completed by defiling my temple, the temple they themselves shall build, I will take these stones together with the tables of the law and put them in a place whence they were removed of old, and there they shall remain until the end of all time, when I will visit the inhabitants of the earth. Then I will take them up, and they shall be an everlasting light to those who love me and keep my commandments. When Kenaz bore the stones to the sanctuary, they illuminated the earth like unto the sun at midday. And we are going to stop right here today, my beautiful people. We're at 53 minutes and 51 seconds. All right, so we're going to pick this back up. And we're going to read some more about Kenaz and Othniel, and then Boaz and Ruth, and then Deborah follows, right? Some stuff that wasn't canonized with this over here, but we're going to learn about it tomorrow. All right, y'all. Okay, so we read Judges 1, 2, and 3, and we read the LOJ, Legends of the Jews, page 390 to page 395. It is Wednesday, March the 10th, 2021, day 98 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 3-year consecutive day count, day 767, y'all. All right, y'all. I don't really have any stories for y'all today, but I could share some stuff, but we can go ahead and get out here. Like I said, I'm gonna try and keep to my hour time frame, but sometimes I know it just get kind of good and we need to answer a couple questions, so then it'll run over. But I want to make sure, especially during the week. Now the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, most people home, they're not working. Most people, we may go a little long on the weekend, but during the week, I want to be mindful of the time and stick to this time period. So if y'all don't have any questions, if you do, I don't think anybody does, you can post them there. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the blessing. And if I don't see any questions there, we can go ahead and end it for the day. All right, y'all remember the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember the first 21 verses of Numbers chapter 6 is the Nazarite vow. Man or woman can take it. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people, that's it. Kathy, hey, girl, hey. All right, y'all. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, Sherry Lynn, what is the scripture being read? Okay, well, we just finished reading Legends of the Jews. And I think, let's see. You may have said that because I think I saw your question pop up while I was reading the song Joshua was intoning. I believe it's one of the songs. I don't remember right off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to go look it up. But I believe it was one of the songs. I can't tell you exactly at the moment, but I'm gonna look for it and I'll put it in here. But we were reading from the Legends of the Jews. I always put it in a description box on Facebook and YouTube, so you can just kind of go click on it. And what it is, just to give a quick overview, this is a compilation of the some of the ancient manuscripts that weren't canonized. Nevertheless, it's still true history or whatever. But what's in here is what was well known in multiple different nations. A lot of different nations had the same story. So everything that was the same in these multiple nations, he took and canonized together. Not saying that the other stuff wasn't true, but he wasn't able to find a lot of accounts. He may have found a couple. But what's in here is what was common knowledge to many, many nations, and everything that was common, they found the same stories in multiple nations or whatever, just translated from the different languages. He put it here and translated it to English. So we could have it here. And they call it the Legends of the Jews, but we know it's the Hebrews, it's our people, whatever. So, but if you can get over some of the names that they mispronounce or don't quite get the right names, we can see it, right? So that's that. And also it's a link. You can listen to it on YouTube. I post all the links for it that I found. The good links. Anyway, you can purchase it from Amazon, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You can read it online because you can find it on Sacred Text. That link is there. You can also listen to it if you don't have time to read it. Just put it in your ear. So I posted YouTube videos where they have really clear readings, and also the ones, if you click on the description box, you can jump right to the different chapters and stuff if you don't want to listen to it all the way through, because a lot of them range. It's a lot of the 4 volumes is broken up into multiple videos, and each video gives each chapter where you can jump to the chapter, so you don't have to listen through and try and figure out where the section is. The sections are labeled just like it is in the book, the chapters, the volumes, and the subsections, so you can go and jump right to wherever you want to. So all that is there. All right, so verb, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all, we out of here. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.